Nat, welcome back to Perth Property Hub.
Thank you for having me.
Now today I wanted to talk to you about your role on behalf of a seller.
Okay, fantastic.
So we know that there's different methods of sales and it's really important for your sellers to understand that.
Yes.
I also know that you have a bit of a feather in your cap because you're one of the few female auctioneers in WA.
Yes.
And it's a method that you really think adds a lot of value to your customers.
Yes.
So I wanted to get to find out from you why you think that's a really useful method to use.
Yeah, it's very important. Yes, there are several different methods of sale, and there's only really one I love, which is an auction that has that real transparency. So what's typically called a private treaty sale, which is where you're marketing with a price, so it could be a fixed price, a range, suit buyers over. That's what we call a private treaty. Then you've got like an offers closing date where you've got buyers competing against each other, but again, there's no transparency. So what you actually can do in that sort of method of sale is you can actually risk greatly underselling your home. Because there's no transparency that the buyers can actually see what they're competing against. Several times I've rung a buyer and said, oh, I'm really sorry, the property is sold for X. Oh, the buyer says, oh, I actually would have paid that. So I've done you a disservice by your property actually underselling. There is another method of sale called open negotiation, which is like an online auction. That I was really big part of in 2017 when it came to fruition. However, it just doesn't seem to have that same level of transparency as an auction. So yes, I love my auctions and I love them for several reasons. For a seller, the seller's in control. So essentially it's an unconditional contract by nature. So the buyers have to have all their ducks in a row in terms of their finance approval and everything like that. You're able to control the settlement and the deposit that the buyers make. But more importantly, the way I sell the auctions now to the buyers is that right now, yes, we're in a really hot market, you could actually miss out on the home that you're absolutely in love with by as little as $100. My last auctions have been as small as $100.
Wow.
So, and then when you get offers from buyers during the campaign, which is what my job is, to get as many offers from buyers throughout the campaign, that's for the sellers to really understand where the market is seeing the value on the property for them to then set their reserve price. Now, the reserve price is essentially the minimum price that the seller is prepared to sell the home for. And that's all the buyers are waiting for at the auction is those words, the reserve has been met and the property will be sold. So when you've got a few people competing against each other in an open forum, that's when the price goes and the sky's the limit, rather than risking underselling your property because there was no transparency and competition. So it's all about a process of sale and understanding that you've got 3 stages. You can sell prior to auction, at auction, or post-auction. So you're not having to set your limit right now, you're setting it further down the track when we've asked the market where they see the value, which is the most important aspect, is because they're the ones buying the home and they're the ones that are going to pay the most for your home.
And I think what I love about that is how you've clearly explained that it's beneficial for your seller, but it's really also beneficial for the buyer.
Yeah.
Like you say, there's that transparency of them being able to clearly see if they miss out, they know it's because they weren't prepared to bid that little bit higher.
And that's it. Whilst I'm there to help the buyer, I'm also there to get the most amount of money from the seller. So I educate the buyers through the process as well, helping them set their 3 prices of, their IKEA start the car ad, they've got an absolute bargain, their love price, and I'm not paying $1 more. We all know that they end up paying that little bit more. Yeah. But if they go in with their strategy, then we know that we've extracted the absolute last dollar out of the marketplace as well. And the sellers are happy because they can see that, we've put them in the boxing ring and they fought it out.
Excellent. Well, I think you've absolutely sold me on why I should use auction if I sell my current property at some point in the future. I'll be giving you a call. So another thing that I talk with my clients a lot about is when they're getting ready to sell their property. What are the things that you would advise your seller that they need to do in preparation for the sale?
Yeah, that's a really good one, and I say this to all of my clients. Put your buyer cap on, start at the verge, get your notepad out, and look at the tiny little things that you would pick up if you're a buyer that need attention, because all a buyer is trying to do when they're walking through the property is try to get the price down as much as they can. So if you can take away as much as you can from those blemishes by little bits of paint or wiping the walls down or things like that, and making your property absolutely sparkle, then you're going to get the best possible price the market's prepared to pay. So yeah, get your notepad out, walk through your house as if you're a buyer, check if your furniture works the way that it is, declutter to make sure, clean open spaces, get all your magnets off your fridge, clear your kitchen bench tops, clear your bathroom bench tops, just the clean spaces, make spaces look bigger as well. Kmart, Target, Amart, all of those things. You can really style your home on a budget now without having to go and spend an absolute fortune.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing I know sometimes becomes an issue is when people think something's included with the property,
yes,
and it isn't.
Yes. So that also comes down to the conditions of sale and what the chattels include. Dishwashers are a big one, and that's why it's really important when going and listing a property. I say from day one, all right, what's not staying and what's not working, what is not going to be fixed at settlement, so that we can tell the buyers from day one, look, that's not working, but here's a quote, to have it fixed or something like that. So full transparency from day one.
So basically sellers need to be aware that if there's something that they don't want to sell with the property, it might be their favourite light fitting
or their curtains
or a fixture on the wall that they really want to take with them, your advice to them would be to remove it perhaps?
Yeah, remove it if possible. If not, it's put as a clear condition on the contract. As I say, I always give my buyers a copy of the contract before we meet to write an offer. Or if it's, depending on the method of sale, if it's an auction, they get everything before, they bid at an auction as well. So I know in my heart, every single piece of information that the buyer needs to know, they've been given. There's no secrets when it comes to final inspection.
That's actually pretty refreshing, Nat, I have to say. So thank you for that. So Nat, what about the marketing? What do you normally recommend your sellers do?
Every property I treat as bespoke. So we sit down and it's like a shopping list and we go through. I always tell my clients, you've got to look at your marketing as an investment to getting the best possible price. Also, a bit like fishing. Cast a line, put yourself on realestate.com with some photos, you'll get a few bites, but you're not going to come home with a big catch. But if you cast that net, then the bigger pool of buyers. And that's what we want. We want as many people through the home at once so that people can actually see that there's a lot of competition and that they need to be quick. So yes, realestate.com is obviously the biggest place that the buyers come from. Things like floor plans is really important. 40% of buyers click past a property if they don't have a floor plan because they want to see how the property is laid out. But more importantly, after a buyer's been through maybe 5, 6, 7 houses in one Saturday, they go home and they're looking through the brochures and they're like, oh, how was that one laid out? I can't quite remember. But if they've got the floor plan, they're like, oh, that's right. The floor plan also helps them to, the buffet would look really cool. What do you think there? I'm also a big believer in video. Video is a way to really capture a buyer's emotional strings because it doesn't just show, it's got 3 bedrooms, it's got 2 bathrooms, it's just got a bit more detail. You can really sell the location. So depending on where the property is, if it allows a drone video shoot, that just really shows, what else is around. But also, a buyer might not be considering that suburb. So it's just another way of showing that property in a different light. Social media is a big one as well. Everyone's on social media. They're happy just to quickly, tag a friend in something. So as I say, it really comes down to the property. Sometimes a newspaper ad still works as well. So I really tailor each property individually.
Fantastic. Well, I've seen some of the videos you do of the properties that you put to market and I love them. I think they really do showcase that property so beautifully. So well done on that.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for coming along on Perth Property Hub today. I look forward to having you back another time.
I really look forward to it. Thank you.